Anyway, the Krishna House program started some years ago in Gainesville. Kalakanta Prabhu sort of designed the program. There was a facility near the University of Florida in Gainesville, and Kalakanta decided to make it available for students, make Krishna consciousness available for students. So he started a program where the young people, they have certain requirements to chant 8 rounds a day or more, to do 4 hours of service, or they can, if they're attending college or even a job, they can pay a moderate rent, but they have to chant the 8 rounds and attend classes and, before in the morning and evening. So this started kind of gradually in Gainesville, I think about 15 years ago. And they've actually had, I think, over 300 devotees pass through the Krishna House program in Gainesville. And many of them have gotten initiated and joined various temples, communities. And many years ago, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, on his last visit to Houston, he was saying that we have so many nice Indian devotees in Houston, but Krishna consciousness is for everyone, for, Westerners and of all types. So this Krishna House program has been a nice addition to our temple, where some very nice young people, several of them are Hispanic, African American, from different backgrounds, but Krishna House has been a good thing for them and for our community. So we wanted to invite a few of them on tonight. I think the first one that I see that I could call upon would be Arjuna. He's the son of devotee in Dallas, and I believe he was going to join the army. He was thinking, I think he's still 17 years old, and his parents heard about Krishna House, so he decided to try that with his twin sister, Gandiva. So I think we could ask him how Krishna consciousness, how Krishna House has been for him, because he was born in the movement, but it was a good option for him. So if we could ask Arjun to unmute, and he could share some of his experiences.
Hare Krishna. I guess one of my main takeaways, as being someone who did grow up in a relatively Krishna conscious environment, is that when you see new bhaktas and new devotees who did not grow up with this all their life, taking to Krishna consciousness so seriously, it's really inspiring and it's really encouraging to preach more. For me, I can see how it's not just something you practice because it was what you were born with and what you're raised with, but it's actually attractive to newcomers and to Westerners. So I really like how I was able to now see the effects of preaching. And the association is really good because they're so excited and they're so eager to learn more about Krishna consciousness. And it rubs off on me, and I start to take it more seriously when I see these new devotees so nicely and sincerely taking to Krishna consciousness.
So you've had some opportunities to travel. India. How was that experience for you?
It was really nice. Yeah, growing up in the Gurukul, I got to hear about Vrindavan for a very long time since I was very little. So it was nice to go to all the places, the pastime areas.
And your sister also, you've been able to have her join you in the program in Houston, and she's really learned to play the drum well, right?
Yeah, she's doing really great. She's changed so much. She's she's a lot more happy here, and she found a really nice group of for her. And she's also taking Krishna consciousness more seriously now. She's really nice. And because she's like my twin, she inspires me to go further too. So I'm really glad that she's getting this opportunity as well.
Have you any friends that grew up in Krishna consciousness that you've shared your experiences with that might follow your path at some point?
Yeah, there's a lot of youth in Dallas, and they're looking for this opportunity because so far their plan is to just graduate and then go into working life, but they're looking for a window of time in which they can deepen their Krishna conscious roots that they grew up with before they go into working life. So yeah, I think a lot of the youth would be open to this. Just they're not really too informed about it. I know when I was growing up, I thought that ashrams were a thing of the past and that they just like don't happen anymore in the West. So it was nice to hear about this program.
Yeah, I can say from my standpoint, being an older devotee, it's quite enlivening to see young people taking up Krishna consciousness, in the early years of their life when, before they get tied up with a big career or big family and, learning, having the nice experience that their parents may have had. And, just to see, it gives it's very enlivening for older devotees. And I think I can share that sincerely. Maybe my wife, Guru Bhakti, would like to say something.
It's very nice for us because I remember when Arjuna, your mom was pregnant with you all. And then when you were a little baby, she would bring you both to Mangal Arti. And I always admired that about her because she would bring all her children to Mangal Arti. I mean, I have difficulty getting there by myself, and she brings all her children with, all the children she had. And then Arjun is such a nice dancer too, very enthusiastic. So is Gandiva. And it's very, when people see them dancing, they get they get inspired. So I was wondering if any of your friends feel inspired to join. You said there's some youth in Dallas you've been speaking to. Do they feel like they would, this is something that they would consider from your example?
Yeah, they're open to it. It's just a lot of them they need a push. They're not willing to just jump into a situation like this.
Mm.
Yeah.
The other question I wanted to ask is, what was the deciding factor for you? What made you take that decision to actually join? Because people may consider, but they may not commit. But here you and your sister have committed. You've already finished one semester and now you're in the second semester.
I guess The main thing was that I was just really lonely and
Mm.
kind of bored over the quarantine, and I got out of school
Mhm.
and saw this as an opportunity to get some association and make some friends. And so it was kind of a leap of faith. I didn't really know what this program would be, but I was really pleasantly surprised by the people here.
Great.
Nice.
Maybe we'll get back to you, but I see Cody is on. Cody didn't grow up in the Krishna consciousness movement, and I don't know much about him, but maybe Cody, you can say where you grew up and how you learned about Krishna consciousness and how you came to Krishna House.
Hare Krishna, please accept my obeisances. So I grew up in Austin, Texas, and I got introduced to Krishna in like August 2020 by some friends. They gave me a book and they were super into it. And so like I was hanging out with them a lot. And then they were my friend Bhakta Avatar. He knew Krishna Bhagavan, which is the temple president at Rupanuga Vedic College in Kansas City, Missouri. And Krishna Bhagavan told us that there's some monks doing traveling Sankirtan and that they were in Houston and that they would be in Austin in about a month. But then he called us like the next day and he was like, hey, they're on the way to Austin. They will be there in 30 minutes. And we were like, all right. So like we got everything ready and then they arrived and then they just stayed in Austin with us for like a month and a half. And we went out every day and distributed books with them and like distributed prasadam, and we had like a bhakti book club thing, which happened every Monday. We would go out and distribute books with them. And like we would invite people to our apartment and there was like big groups of people in our apartment and we would do kirtan and then a class and then prasadam. And like it was Ananda Das and Krishnendu. His old name was Bhaktikal, but he got initiated and he's Krishnendu now. And then, yeah, they left about a month and a half after they arrived. And I went with them to Rupanuga Vedic College. And I stayed there the first time about like 5 days. And then I went home and then I was like, okay, this is not it. So I went back to Rupanuga Vedic College and stayed like for like 2 weeks. And then I went down to Miami and I ended up living at the ashram in Miami for a little bit. And then after that, I went to visit my mom. And then I came to Krishna House after talking with Sri Dam. And yeah, it's very, very a blissful experience. I'm very, very grateful that Krishna has arranged everything so nicely. I'm like these devotees, their souls, and they're all very, very beautiful. And Sadhu, he's a very, very excellent mentor. And he's very intelligent. And his heart is like very, very warm and welcoming. And like he allows us to have a platform to where we can take the steps necessary in order to develop our relationship with Krishna. Like this whole experience is like very wonderful because compared to Rupanuga Vedic College, that's like hardcore brahmachari ashram. But this is like a nice transition from material life to ashram life. And then we get to graduate to go to the brahmachari ashram whenever we're ready, if that is what we desire. But just having this opportunity to connect and build relationships with these very, very nice devotees is a very, very beautiful experience.
Excellent. Well, we've really enjoyed having your energy. How did you like it, your experience in El Paso?
It was so wonderful. Associating with a pure devotee like Indradyumna Swami, just looking into their eyes and like hearing their words, you like, it gives you hope and the desire. It's like planting seeds of desire to serve Krishna. And like, because that shows you like you can do this your whole life and you can continue to advance and you can learn more and more and you could ultimately help so many people attain Krishna consciousness and you could bring people to Krishna consciousness. And he's just like, it was very, very powerful just being in his presence.
Yes.
And maybe Arjun could share some experiences with the program. How did Sadhu's little son Dhruva, did he interact with Indradyumna Maharaj at all? What was that like? One of you could answer that.
Maybe they didn't even see. I also see Joe. Joe, is that you from Krishna House on the iPhone?
He may be driving.
I see.
I mean, he can answer, but he
But
gets off work at 7.
Also, I see Laura. Laura, is it possible for you to talk? Laura is a very amazing person. She's a psychiatrist and also a psychologist. And she worked as of course, as a psychiatrist, and then she decided to join the ashram, the farm. And she has a very unusual story and very determined and very determined to continue to start up or take up spiritual life. So Laura, if you're there, would you mind sharing your story a little bit? Is that okay? Can I pick on you?
Sure, you can pick on me, but my camera phone does not work. So you get to look at this ugly black box, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. Is okay, your voice is still there. It would have been.
Yeah, I don't think my phone is working properly.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Because I know my camera doesn't work.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay, very good. Sorry that my camera doesn't work. Please accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I came to Krishna consciousness. Well, I was first introduced probably by listening to George Harrison back in the early 70s. But I didn't quite understand what I was listening to and why I was singing My Sweet Lord and chanting that fun mantra at the end. I never did quite understand that until about 1985, when I was given a copy of Chant and Be Happy outside of a concert of all places in Chicago. And I read it. And of course, the foreword and the interviews are with John Lennon and George Harrison. So of course, I'm going to love reading that. But I was really amazed, and I finally figured out what that really meant in the song. And I was thrilled. And I said, you know, I'm going to look into this a little bit further. I had actually read the Bhagavad Gita, but I didn't really get a very good understanding of it because it wasn't the Bhagavad Gita as it is. So I was reading at the time when I first read it, I think I was in junior high school, and I really couldn't understand what it was about. So I visited the temple in Chicago in the mid-'80s, got a copy of As It Is, and I finally started understanding what I had read before a little bit more. As it ended up happening, I didn't really stick with it. I finished college, I went to medical school, and as you know, Guru Bhakti Mataji, when you're in medicine, especially in residency, you don't even have time to sleep or eat virtually. So trying to maintain, you know, reading about Krishna consciousness, about Krishna, reading Srila Prabhupada's works, you know, I probably could have made time for it, but never did. And then over the course of my career as a psychiatrist, I was in academics for a lot of it, which is, it's kind of a high pressure job in terms of you have to be doing research as well as doing, for me, a lot of clinical work. And my expertise at first was with terminally ill people. I was on faculty here at MD Anderson for a while. My specialty was pancreatic cancer, which interestingly, I had no experience with, but something drew me to it. And then during my second year as faculty at MD Anderson, my mother got pancreatic cancer. And she came to Anderson for treatment. She was living in Phoenix. And I remember when she was dying, one of the things she wanted to hear was play that George Harrison song you always used to play. I liked that. And when I was a kid, she would tell me to turn it off. But now she was dying and wanted to hear it. And we played it over and over and over again. And I said, you know, I really want to read that Chant and Be Happy book. This is very interesting that this is happening. After she passed away, I left Anderson, went to Phoenix to be with my father. The problem was where we lived. It was very hard to visit the ISKCON temple there because they were in Chandler, which if anybody has been to the Phoenix Valley, it's like 100 miles wide virtually. It takes an hour and a half to get from where I was living to out in Chandler. So I went a couple times, but really wasn't able to make much association. So I was trying to read on my own all of Srila Prabhupada's books that I could possibly get my hands on. And I was married at the time, and suddenly my husband took ill, and he had pancreatic cancer. And so I started playing the George Harrison song for him too. What is that? I don't want to listen to that stuff. You and that crazy stuff. And I said, please just listen to it. And then 2 years later, my father got pancreatic cancer. And I said, okay, well, this was interesting that this is what I went into as a career without ever knowing anybody who had had it. And my father and I had some very long talks. It was about 18 months from diagnosis to when he passed on. We had some very long talks about how I had become quite unhappy with my chosen profession. I love psychiatry, I love psychology, but at the time I was in private practice and I just felt like a medication jockey. And I really like talking with people. I like working with people and understanding who they are. Medications are wonderful and very necessary sometimes, but it's not the end all and be all. And I was extremely unhappy. And my father was the one who reminded me about the song, about what I was reading, about how he had given me his copy of the Bhagavad Gita when I was in junior high. And he said, you know, you really should try to pursue this. You've been wanting to do this for many years. You're extremely unhappy with what you're doing. Whatever you do, whether you stick with being a psychiatrist or not, please tell me that you're going to pursue this. Whenever I see you reading these books or chanting, you know, you're happy. You're not happy when you come home from work. And I wasn't living with him, but I was staying with him as he was dying. I promised him that I would do such. I would do exactly that. And he passed on. And I tried to stick to my promise, but I didn't right away. And I moved my practice from where I had been. I was miserable. I tried hard to make it work, and everything wrong happened. I couldn't get it working. And, you know, it just came to me one day, you know, I really don't want to do this anymore. You know, I could still do some counseling. I can do Reiki. There's many things I can do. I can, you know, live and make enough money, but I can't live like this anymore. I can't live miserable. I need to associate with devotees. And I had off and on, like when I did my residency in St. Louis, associated with devotees. But as a physician, it's so hard to find time unless you're right in the community, unless you're right near a temple or near a center or near an ashram. And it ended up that I came back to Houston. And not too long after I moved back to Houston, I was riding a bus from where I was living to the Heights. And by Krishna's mercy, there was as there always is in Houston, road work. And the bus was diverted past this place called Bhakti Urban Farm. And I went, wow, Bhakti Urban Farm, Bhakti, what is this? And I actually, the next time I took that bus, I got off so I could check that out. And I saw Project of ISKCON. And I said, you know what? I bet the temple is not too far from here. And so I went to the temple just one time. And then I started going to the farm at the Friday night program, I guess, what, 2.5, 3 years ago or something like that. And it was just a wonderful experience. Finally, I get to associate with devotees, people who have been devotees for many, many, many years, like Sarvabhauma Prabhu, Guru Bhakti Mataji, many other people. I heard lectures from wonderful Maharajas, Romapada Swami. I mean, just people that I had only heard lectures from on YouTube or had read their books. And I was just amazed. Finally, after all these years of self-study, I found a place where I can associate with people. And it was just wonderful being able to come and visit with these folks. And I got to be friends with many of the different people, both people who were just interested or people who were initiated devotees. And it was just a wonderful experience. And for me, what was really wonderful about the farm, which is where the ashram actually is, the ashram is actually located on the farm, on Bhakti Urban Farm. I started volunteering immediately, started volunteering at the farm. And my father and I, and my father's the most important person other than Krishna in my life, and always has been and always will be. My father and I bonded gardening. We gardened together from when I was a toddler. We still garden right up until he could not garden anymore a couple months before his death. And to be able to garden in this wonderful paradise of a garden and to take care of cows. And I used to take care of Brahma bulls at my cousin's farm when I was a kid. To be able to come back to this, to me, this was all Krishna's doing, because it felt like not only was Krishna here, but my father was okay. I knew that by coming to this place, my father was doing okay. And this is a place my father would love to see me at. And I kept my promise to my father that I would pursue this. And now I'm actually pursuing it full time. I actually had the opportunity to move to the farm before the ashram came here. And so I'm technically not one of the ashram students, but I work with the ashram. I help with the gardening and teaching them how to take care of the cows and how to garden. I had been going to the morning program here that they have at the farm, but that's been interrupted a couple times because folks have gotten a little sick here and there, including myself. So I haven't been able to do that as much. But it's just been a wonderful experience being able to associate with such great devotees here. I mean, it makes me, I feel old as the hills sometimes with my aches and pains, but when I associate with all these wonderful young people, it makes me feel young again. And to be able to have their association and learn from them as well. We all learn from each other, no matter how far along or not along we are in Krishna consciousness. We all learn from each other. And it's just so wonderful to have association with the folks here at Krishna House and also the devotees at the temple, because a lot of the programs here are dovetailed with the programs at the temple. And it's just been such a wonderful experience. And I'm so thankful to be here where I'm at right now.
Thank you, Laura. We don't see any other devotees from Krishna House here, but maybe we can
ask Joe if he's still driving.
Go ahead.
His car is not here, so he must still be driving.
Okay. So go back to what were you saying?
Sorry, Bo. I'm driving, but I can talk if you want.
Okay, don't get into an act. Just be careful.
I promise. I'll be good.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
So we
Okay.
let me introduce Joe. There's a few Krishna House devotees that are maintaining a job. I think Joe works from 11 to 7. He's
Right.
a nurse.
Assistant.
And so Joe has been following the Krishna House, meeting the devotees and coming to the farm. And about a month ago or so, I think he joined himself the program. So Joe, can you tell us how you learned about Krishna consciousness in general, and then how you connected with Krishna House and what it's been like for you?
Okay, yeah, thank you, Hare Krishna. So literally about a year ago, it was like the beginning of February. It was right before the Super Bowl happened. I remember I went to a park at the Mano collection, and the devotees were out there doing book distribution. I met Petita Pavana, actually. He was still Pat at the time. And yeah, he was out there distributing books. I had been learning a lot about like Eastern mysticism from like Paramhansa Yogananda, stuff like that. So that's all I knew about. And I saw this guy, he was like dressed in this like in white, and he looked like a monk. So I was like, hey, maybe that guy knows about this stuff I've been reading about. So I walk up to him, and then he starts telling me about these books. And he's like, have you read the Bhagavad Gita? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, have you read this one? And I was like, oh, no, I haven't read this one. This one's huge. So I'm asking him all these questions, kind of poking his brain. And yeah, he's very similar, but he's kind of telling me things that like are not making that much sense to me. The only thing I remember like very distinctly was that he was explaining the mantra to me. And he said that Krishna means all attractive. He has all opulence. And that kind of rugged my head for a couple months. So I took that book, Bhagavad Gita, as it is, and I got it at the beginning of February. I finished it about May, and then after I finished it, I was just like, okay, I'm convinced. Like, this sounds like the real deal. It's kind of what I've been looking for, but this sounds more right on than everything else I've been looking at. So I just showed up to the temple one day, and some lady, it was like for the Sunday darshan, some lady there just kind of gave me and my friend a tour. And at the end, she's like, let me connect you with one of the devotees here. And she brings me back to Pat, Petita, who was Pat at the time. And I was like, hey, you're that guy who gave me the book. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you're that one guy. And yeah, he kind of just since then started like inviting me to the farm and inviting me to the programs on Sundays. And the first time I came to the temple on for I don't know, I think there was like a Swami here or something. I don't remember who it was. But after the class, the first time I'd ever been to the temple, like go to a Bhagavatam class. And after the class, I'm asking him, okay, so how does this work? Like, how do I start? I had read so much about the Bhagavad Gita, the necessity of a spiritual master, and I'm thinking, where's he at? How do I sign up to get on his list? And so yeah, now he starts explaining it to me, and then inviting me to the farm. So I've just kind of been going pretty much since May, back and forth, going to the class in the mornings and the farm whenever I can. And I had wanted to join the Krishna House in August, but like due to work stuff, that didn't really work out. And honestly, by Krishna's mercy, I'm here now, and I'm like super happy for it because I think it just made me want to come even more. And like now I'm thinking, man, like this is like perfect. Everything I've been trying to do is just like 10 times easier when everybody else around you is doing it. And these devotees are so expert. It's like any question I have, they give me like such a thorough answer. Like I don't even have any questions left for the day sometimes. And yeah, that's about how I got here, I think.
So how's it working out? It's a little demanding schedule to also have a full-time job. Is it going okay so far?
Yeah, I'm okay so far. I wasn't so used to getting up so early. So I've been kind of battling a little bit with trying to go to sleep earlier, get up earlier. But it's been nice though, because the first thing I'm doing when I'm getting up is either chanting rounds or Mangala Arati, stuff like that, which I'd never done before. So now it's like, okay, like I'm starting my day off on the right foot, and it kind of helps me keep my head in the right place. Like, I guess before I had all these other like external things that would pull my mind away from Krishna consciousness, but now everything is like so conducive for it. It's like I'd have to really go out of my way to really kind of like get my head out of there. But it's been all right. Basically, I do the morning program, and then I take some of the breakfast prasadam, which is like amazing every single day, by the way. And I take that, and then I have that for lunch, come back home, probably chant a few more rounds, and then go to bed. So it's pretty tight, my schedule right now. But the weekends are nice. The weekends, I just kind of get to have a whole day with them. Kind of feels like a vacation, to be honest. It's like, okay, I'm just doing devotee stuff. It's pretty nice.
Joe, I'm wondering if any of your colleagues have noticed a difference in you since you joined Krishna House, although it's been not too long.
Oh, yeah, I work a little bit. Yeah, I kind of like been separating myself a little bit more from a lot of the topics and conversations that we have at work. Work is not so Krishna conscious, so it's just kind of like, yeah, a lot of times I'm a little bit more quieter, a little bit more distant, just so I don't have to participate so much and a lot that goes on there. So there's that, but I have noticed, like, I don't know, I feel like my work ethic in general has like gotten a lot better. Like I feel more inclined to just help. Like every day I pray to Krishna to help me serve him like as Paramatma, like in the soul of every other living being. So that's kind of been a challenge, but it's been good. It's been good. I
Nice.
think, yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
Mhm.
Maybe we could ask some of our devotees that aren't in Krishna House if for their, feedback about what effect Krishna House is having on the temple and the community. Or if any of you want to ask questions to Joe or Cody. Anyone want to share their appreciation for Krishna House? I could say one thing is just Tamal Krishna wanted variety, and we have 3 of the devotees are from the African American background. I was hoping Diamond or Brittany or Yogi would maybe come on. They've added a lot to our community, and just the other day we were at University of Houston, and Diamond, who was a very new devotee, she was singing a nice kirtan, playing the harmonium, and Cody was playing a simple beat on the Madranga drum. And I was just impressed that these are new devotees, but they have such a nice energy to give to Krishna. Also, we have one devotee, Bhakti Elena. She's from Ukraine, and she's a very wonderful devotee. And although it's very unfortunate what's happened in Ukraine, she's taken shelter of the Krishna House program and been a very nice addition. Anybody have any other comments they'd like to make?
But I was wondering if they could just elaborate on what the curriculum is like. Is it like a Bhakti Shastri kind of program, or is it structured in a different way?
I could answer some of that. Like they study the Bhagavatam. They have their morning program at the farm, and then they come for Bhagavatam class to the temple, which is about 2 miles from the farm, and join the temple Bhagavatam class. But the temple Bhagavatam schedule is kind of in harmony with the Krishna House program. From Monday to Friday, the Krishna House devotees, the Bhagavatam is starting from the first canto, and it's goes in sections, like several verses at a time. So it's different from the normal temple Bhagavatam class. It gives very nice verses, and some of the Krishna House devotees, like Priya Madranga, Prabhu, Sadhu Sangha, Sudevi, they give classes, and Purnamrita Maji. And I think that during lunch they read about Srila Prabhupada, and then they have Bhagavad Gita classes in the evening. And on the weekends, they have sort of free time. We usually have a big Harinam at the zoo on Saturdays, and a lot of the Krishna House devotees come for that, and they've added a great energy for that. And they don't have to come to the temple on the weekends, but quite a few of them come from Mangalatik on Saturday or Sunday, just voluntarily. Some of them catch up. One of them, Dr. Armando, he might have changed his job, but he had a job right near the temple, and so he would, be in the temple programs, but he would go to work, and so I think right now we have 2 Krishna House devotees that have jobs, and can you add anything to that, Cody, to the program? Did I miss anything?
You did a very good job. We have like Tulsi Arti, and then the Guru Arti,
Mhm.
and then we go over to the temple for Mangala Arti, and then we return and we have a little bit of time. Then we do service Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10:30 to 1. We do farm service. On Tuesday, Thursday, we go out for Harinam and book distribution during that time. And then we have free time from we eat at 2. And then we have free time from after lunch to 5. At 5 is a class from 5 to 6. And then at 6, the boys, the brahmacharis, are doing a group reading. It's the Prabhupada's books on YouTube with Keshava Bharati Maharaj. And that's every day for an hour. And then we get ready for bed. And then weekends are free, but we been trying to maintain the schedule during the weekly schedule during the weekend, just to stay in the fire so it can stay fired up.
Great. So anyone else have any comments or questions? We don't have to go so long, but
I have one more question, if it's okay.
mhm.
Is there any type of program built into the program that acts as outreach for, like Arjuna Prabhu was saying about his friends that are interested, or even to family members of people that move into Krishna House, so that they can give their family members and friends some insight into their new path or their new journey that they're on?
Well, on Sunday, there's a program at the farm that the Krishna House devotees sort of run. And, I've seen friends of Joe and, some of the people that know Krishna House people come and they get, they see that they could also get, maybe down the road, they could also participate. And for some people, it takes some time. They think, well, maybe they might have an apartment. So their apartment is going for so many months, but maybe when that lease is up, maybe they could participate in the Krishna House program for a while. So the Sunday program, I guess friends could come, and sometimes brothers or sisters or maybe parents could come. Like we had one spiritual initiation at Krishna House where Kalakanta came and Adi Kartaprabhu came, and they initiated some of the Krishna House devotees that had joined in Florida, who had been in the program for a longer time, and they gave first and second initiation to several devotees. And so the Sunday program is sort of an open house where friends or relatives could come and see what the Krishna House devotees are doing and see the farm. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Guru Bhakti?
No.
So I was hoping maybe, I didn't know how long, the Krishna House devotees would want to describe. So maybe in the future we could get some of the other ones on. And otherwise we can end a little early if this is, I want to thank Cody and Arjun for coming on, and Joe. It was kind of a last minute thing, and forgive me if I made any offenses or anything.
And thank you for arranging this. It sounds like such an enlivening and well-rounded program. They're very fortunate to have this program in Houston. And so it sounds really nice. I can't wait to maybe come and see it in action.
Yeah, Kalakanta really, designed a nice program. As Cody said, it's a kind of a gentle way of getting into Krishna consciousness, but a very intelligent way and very balanced way. And Kalakanta, worked on certain principles for the program over some years in Gainesville. And I'm sure that his experience has really helped. I mean, one of the big problems has been the COVID, which has hit us, about 3 times. And, for some reason, some of the young people at the Krishna House of the Farm have gotten it also. And so that's been a little bit of a challenge. But other than that, it's been really wonderful. And many years ago, Kalakanta said that if you make a arrangement for training new devotees, then Krishna will send them. And I saw that on a small scale when he was here. We had a small area in the temple, near the temple, and he designated a room for new devotees, and 3 devotees joined. And one of them that joined was Lakshmi Priya, who's in Dallas now, and her son and daughter Arjun and Gandiva joined Krishna House. So it's kind of like a nice cycle, where she was 17 when she joined in Houston so many years ago, and now her kids are 17, and they've joined, a nice Krishna conscious program. And she's been very supportive. She's come down to Houston a number of times, and she's very happy to see her children, getting nice experiences. So I think next week we'll have His Holiness Ratavish Maharaj on our program. So I guess we could end here if anyone else doesn't have any comments.
If anybody would like to unmute their microphone to share a question, a takeaway, an appreciation, whatever you like, please feel free to do so. I'd like to thank our speakers for coming on and sharing their experiences with us. It was really enlivening. Thank you so much. I know it takes a lot of courage to share personal experiences, so thank you so much for doing that.
Hare Krishna, thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. This is a very wonderful opportunity.
We're inspired to see you, and thank you for participating, and using your youth in Krishna's service.
Thank you so much. Please join us next week. Have a wonderful week. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all valuable experiences. Like inspired